We're going to start with this disk, which has a mass of m and a radius r. And we're going to put this disk on this ramp, which has an angle of theta. And this disk is rolling without slipping, which just means that the point of contact, the bottom point, isn't sliding. It's instantaneously at rest. And as it rolls down the ramp, we want to think about what are some questions we can ask about the situation. Well, first, we can ask, what is the force diagram? Well, we have gravity force mg, and we also have the ramp pushing on it, which is the normal force, and that normal force is perpendicular to the ramp. And then there's also static friction between the disk and the surface. Notice that this friction force is up the ramp. Without friction, the disk would slide without rotating. So static friction is needed to provide a torque that causes angular acceleration. This generates a clockwise rotation while translating down the plane. Now, what other questions can we ask? We can also ask about the acceleration of the disk rolling down this ramp. To find the acceleration, we can use Newton's second law, net force equals ma. But we need to define our positive direction. I'm going to define my positive x direction down the ramp. So I'm going to write an expression for the net force for all the forces along the x-axis. So what forces are along the x-axis? Well, we have mg going straight down, but there is a component of mg that is down the ramp. This component is parallel to the ramp. And this theta right here is equal to this theta right here. So this component of the gravity force is mg sine theta. So back to Newton's second law, I can write mg sine theta minus F for the friction is equal to ma. We're initially given the mass of the disk as capital M, so I'm going to substitute that in there. So capital M, g sine theta, we're also given theta, minus, we don't know the friction, and this M right here is also the mass of the disk times A, and we're looking for A. To calculate A, we're going to need to analyze this rotationally. If you remember, the rotational version of Newton's second law states that the torque is equal to the rotational inertia times the angular acceleration. So what is causing the torque in the situation? So the force causing the torque here is friction. So friction is causing the torque. What is the lever arm? The lever arm is the radius of the disk. So defining clockwise as positive. So defining clockwise as positive, the torque about the center is friction times the radius. The rotational inertia is given here, which is 1 over 2 mr squared times alpha. Now, what is alpha? What is the angular acceleration? Now, for any object rotating, we know that if this is alpha here, the angular acceleration, and this is the radius here, we know that the angular acceleration times r will give you the tangential acceleration. So the tangential acceleration is this acceleration here along the tangent line. But when we're rolling without slipping, we're not simply just rotating, but we're also moving translationally. We're moving in a straight line. The center of mass is moving along a straight line down the ramp. The no-slip condition tells us that the tangential acceleration of the rim equals the linear acceleration of the center of mass. So we can write that the acceleration of the center of mass is equal to alpha times r. So if we were to solve for the angular acceleration, we see that it's equal to the acceleration of the center of mass divided by the radius. So we're going to plug this in here. We're going to have the acceleration of the center of mass divided by the radius of the disk. You'll notice that the r's will cancel out. So this r squared divided by r is r, and then there's an r on this side. The r's cancel out. So that leaves us with the friction is equal to 1 over 2 times the mass of the disk times the acceleration of the disk. Next, we're going to combine this equation right here with this equation to solve for the acceleration using the given variables. Plugging in F into this equation gives us mg sine theta minus 1 over 2 m times acceleration, and this is the acceleration of the center of mass, is equal to ma. Notice that the m's cancel out, and that gives us g sine theta minus 1 over 2 a is equal to a. I'm going to add 1/2 a on both sides to combine the a's, and we get g sine theta is equal to 3 over 2a. So the acceleration, if I flip this left to right, we get 2 over 3 times g sine theta. So this is the acceleration of our disk rolling down a ramp with an angle of theta. Now that we have the acceleration with our given variables, we can actually plug this back into our equation here with friction so that we can get an equation for friction with only our given variables. So if we do that, we get that the friction is equal to 1 over 2 times the mass times 2 over 3 g sine theta. Notice that the 2's cancel out, and that leaves us with a friction of 1 over 3 times the mass of the disk times g sine theta. Now that we have an expression for friction in terms of our given variables, we can ask a couple of questions. The first question is, how is mass related to the friction? And you can see that the mass is directly proportional to the friction. So for a disk rolling down an incline at angle theta, the greater the mass, the greater the friction. How about the radius? What's the relationship between the radius of the disk and friction? And you can see here that there is no relationship. So the friction is independent of the radius of the disk. So how do we know that the center of mass acceleration is equal to the angular acceleration times the radius for an object rolling without slipping? Let's take a look at this disk as it rolls along the ground without slipping. This means there's no relative motion between the contact point on the rotating object and the ground. Notice that as it makes one complete roll along the ground, that the displacement of the center of mass is equal to the circumference of the outer rim. We can also refer to this as the arc length of the outer rim. More generally, we can say that the displacement of the center of mass is equal to the arc length of the outer rim of the rotating object. So the object, even if it doesn't make a complete rotation, the displacement of the center of mass is equal to r delta theta if the object is rolling without slipping. Another way to describe this would be to say that the distance along the ground traveled by the center of mass is equal to the distance along the rim of the rotating object. Now, what if we were to divide delta t on both sides of this equation? Well, we would get delta x over delta t is equal to r delta theta divided by delta t. Now, do you remember what delta x over delta t is? That should look familiar. That's just velocity. And since delta x is the displacement of the center of mass, the velocity we get here is the velocity of the center of mass. And also, do you remember what omega, how we define omega? Omega is delta theta divided by delta t. So if we substitute center of mass velocity and omega into our equation, we get the center of mass velocity is equal to omega times r. And this is true if an object is rolling without slipping. Now let's get back to our original question, which is how do we know that the acceleration of the center of mass is equal to alpha times r? Well, by definition, acceleration is delta v divided by delta t. So the acceleration of center of mass is equal to delta v center of mass divided by delta t. And the center of mass velocity, which we just derived, is omega times r. We can substitute that in here. And we're going to factor out the r since the r is constant. And that leaves us with delta omega over delta t. And by definition, alpha is equal to delta omega divided by delta t. And so the acceleration of the center of mass is equal to alpha times the radius. And once again, this is true for an object rolling without slipping. If you found this video helpful, check out my next video on rotational motion.